Ever feel like no matter how much you make, your money just vanishes? Like you're sprinting on a treadmill but getting absolutely nowhere? Well, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a total mindset shift. We're going to look at the hidden link between the stuff you own and the cash in your bank account. As you'll see, adopting a few minimalist money rules can literally fast-track your financial security completely regardless of what your paycheck looks like.
Right out of the gate, look at this fascinating comparison. Picture two people living in the exact same neighborhood. Let's call them Mark and Sarah. Now Mark, he pulls in a very respectable $95,000 a year. He's got the massive 75-inch OLED TV, the beautiful $4,000 leather sectional, a fully loaded car, and closets that are literally bursting. But every time Mark checks his bank account, his stomach drops. He is highly leveraged, completely stressed, and honestly just two missed paychecks away from total crisis. Then, right across the street, you've got Sarah. She makes a much more modest $52,000. She's got a simple, comfy couch, a curated wardrobe of clothes she actually wears, and get this, a staggering 18 months of living expenses saved in cash. Plus, she effortlessly invests 20% of her paycheck. It perfectly illustrates a truth that trips so many of us up. A high income absolutely does not equal financial security if your lifestyle eats up every single dollar just to keep the lights on. So, to help you break free from the illusion that more income automatically equals more wealth, we've put together a really actionable playbook. We're going to cover the hidden cost of stuff, rules for buying less, rules for keeping less, how to define your personal enough, and finally, what true wealth actually looks like. All right, let's start with a massive paradigm shift. Section 1, the hidden cost of stuff and why literally everything you buy costs you money twice. You know when you buy something, that price on the receipt, that is just the entry fee. We call this the double cost. The first cost is obvious, right? The cash you handed over at the register. But that second cost, that is the silent wealth killer. It includes ongoing burdens like storage, maintenance, mental energy, and a massive opportunity cost. Let's look at mental energy for a second. Psychological research actually shows that visual clutter in your home constantly triggers your nervous system. It spikes your cortisol levels and severely impacts your brain's ability to focus. Your overflowing garage is literally stressing you out on a biochemical level. And financially, the opportunity cost is just devastating. Every dollar locked up in physical possessions you don't use, like, say, a $15,000 impulse buy for a home gym you never touch, is a dollar that is not compounding in the stock market. If you took that same 15 grand and just dropped it into simple, low-cost S&P 500 index funds, thanks to the magic of compound interest, it could grow to over $50,000 in 15 years. So your unused stuff isn't just taking up space, it is actively stealing from your future self.
Just think about the classic bulky treadmill. We always buy it with the best intentions, but man, it inevitably becomes the world's most expensive clothes hanger. Space in your home is a premium asset. If you live in an area where real estate runs $30 to $50 a square foot, a treadmill taking up 20 square feet has a huge footprint. When you actually run the math on that, that treadmill is effectively charging you up to $1,000 a year in implicit rent, just to sit there and gather dust. Crazy, right?
Now that we clearly see the true cost, let's open up our toolkit. Section 2, rules for buying less. Okay, here is your absolute first line of defense against slick marketing. It's a secret weapon called cost per use. To figure this out, you just take the total cost of an item and divide it by how many times you'll realistically use it. Say you buy a super high-quality, versatile $400 jacket that you wear 200 times over a few winters. That jacket costs you just $2 per wear. Now compare that to a trendy, bright neon $200 jacket that you grab on a whim, but you only wear it twice before it goes out of style. That cheaper jacket actually costs you a staggering $100 per wear. This simple little framework completely reframes what's truly expensive versus what is a genuine investment. It cuts right through the emotion of a flashy sale tag and destroys most impulse purchases right on the spot.
You also need to be on high alert for the lifestyle multiplier effect. This is an emotional trap where one big purchase unknowingly sets off an entire cascade of mandatory expenses. The classic cautionary tale here is buying a boat. People buy a boat thinking, okay, it's a one-time cost of 30 grand. But a $30,000 boat doesn't just cost $30,000. Suddenly, you have to buy a trailer, a hitch, maybe even a bigger truck just to pull the thing. Then throw in maritime insurance, winter storage fees, and annual engine maintenance. Those multiplier expenses routinely cost about 10% of the boat's initial value every single year. So what felt like a straightforward one-off purchase quickly balloons into this massive, ongoing drain on your monthly cash flow.
Beyond understanding those hidden costs, you've got to actively create friction. Human behavior will always follow the path of least resistance, which is exactly why Amazon invented the buy now with one click button. To stop mindless accumulation, you have to literally throw sand in the gears of your own spending habits. Implementing a strict 24-hour waiting rule before buying any non-essential item is incredibly powerful. Why? Because when you add an item to your digital cart, your brain gets a massive hit of dopamine. By forcing a 24-hour pause, you let that chemical high fade away, and logic finally returns. Honestly, this one rule alone can wipe out roughly 70% of your impulse purchases. A couple of other brilliant tactics: choose to rent or borrow expensive gear before committing to a brand new hobby. And, of course, automate your investments. If your savings are automatically pulled from your paycheck and invested before you even see the money in your checking account, you simply can't spend it on clutter.
All right, so we've built a wall to stop the inflow. But what about all the stuff already sitting in our closets? That brings us to Section 3, Rules for Keeping Less.
I want you to try something. Look around the room you're in right now, pick an object, and honestly apply this replacement test. Ask yourself, if this item magically disappeared today, would I actually go out, spend my hard-earned money, and buy it again? Would you really repurchase that fondue set, or the bread maker collecting dust in the cabinet, or that giant stack of unread books? For the vast majority of our stuff, the honest answer is no. They're just existing in your life through sheer inertia. They're basically squatters, quietly draining your physical space and your mental bandwidth just because you haven't taken the time to evict them.
So to maintain some clarity in your space, you need actionable boundaries. First up, make a hard commitment to never upgrade a perfectly functional item just out of boredom. Take smartphones. Constantly replacing your phone every 2 years just because a slightly better camera dropped is a devastating financial habit. If you instead kept your phone for 4 years and invested the difference, you could easily preserve $30,000 to $50,000 in compound growth over your working lifetime. Second, actually count your possessions. Taking inventory brings this intense hyper-awareness. Trust me, knowing you already own 47 t-shirts makes buying the 48th feel completely absurd. And finally, practice cyclical decluttering. Removing just 3 unused items a week is a sustainable, ongoing habit. Trying to purge 300 items in a single, manic weekend once a year is totally overwhelming and usually just leads straight to burnout.
Now, let's move to the ultimate masterstroke of this entire philosophy. Section 4, Defining your enough.
Listen, if you don't clearly define what enough looks like for you, society will gladly do it for you, and that goalpost will just keep moving forever. This is that dangerous phenomenon we call lifestyle creep. Higher earners fall into this trap constantly. Their expectations for luxury just expand right alongside their rising income. This is exactly why a dual-income household pulling in $300,000 can feel just as strapped, stressed, and desperate as someone earning $80,000. To break this cycle, you must decide in advance what a sufficient home, a reliable car, and a satisfying lifestyle actually look like for you. If you figure out that a $60,000 lifestyle gives you genuine happiness and your income eventually grows to $150,000, that $90,000 gap doesn't go toward a fancier car or a bigger mortgage. It goes straight into buying your absolute financial freedom.
Which brings us to our final and honestly most important point. Section 5, Rethinking the True Measure of Success.
True wealth is not measured by accumulation. It's not the square footage of your house, the badge on the front of your car, or the brand of the watch on your wrist. True wealth is measured by optionality. It's measured by what you have the power to choose. Having margin in your finances means you have the ability to walk away from a toxic boss who's destroying your mental health. It's the ability to take 6 months off to care for a sick family member without completely panicking. It's the freedom to start your own business without needing a guaranteed corporate paycheck. You simply cannot buy that kind of profound, life-altering freedom when all your money is tied up in depreciating assets you didn't even really need in the first place.
You see, the psychology behind our spending habits is deeply tied to our search for security. Society pushes us into this really destructive cycle. We feel stressed or insecure, so we engage in some retail therapy for a quick emotional fix. But that spending depletes our resources, which creates genuine financial insecurity, which then triggers more stress and more spending to cope. It's a miserable loop. But adopting minimalism? That creates a powerful, virtuous cycle. When you deliberately spend less, you can aggressively save more. Those rapidly growing savings create a bedrock of genuine, unshakable security. And when you feel truly secure, knowing you could weather almost any storm, that desperate need to buy things just to prove your status or soothe your anxiety, it completely dissolves.
So let's bring this full circle back to those 2 neighbors we met at the beginning. On one side, you have Mark,
earning high six figures but stressed to the absolute breaking point, literally drowning in the maintenance of his own lifestyle. And on the other side, you have Sarah, earning a modest wage but living with complete peace, true freedom, and a massively growing safety net. Both of these paths are sitting right in front of you today, and every single dollar you spend is a vote for which future you'll inhabit. So the only question left to answer is this: are you going to intentionally own your life, or are you going to let your stuff own you?